Hello and welcome to episode 148 of the Boot Nerds podcast. JayMike, what's going on?
What's going on, man? It's been a while again. We're sorry about that. This is on me. We've been doing a lot of traveling at Unisport. As you know, the World Cup is around the corner, and that means a lot of shoots with players, athletes, which is fun, but also a lot of work. So yeah, we just had to sit a week out. It is what it is.
It's all good. But, it is what it is. Exactly.
It is what it is, and we can't be more than one place at a time. So there we go. But how are you, Josh?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
You're okay.
I'm not in love with the colder weather that is approaching. It's not here yet, but it's approaching. But
yeah. And that's the thing, right? When it's summer, we complain about that it's a little bit too hot. Oh, it's so hot and humid, and then winter arrives, and it's the same thing every year.
I don't want to turn this into like old man talk because I don't think we're that old yet.
That's like 100 episodes too late.
I don't think we're old enough to have old man talk.
Look, we complain about the weather every single episode, man.
I'm just so sore these days, you know.
Yeah. Now, I'm just thinking, you know, why are we still living in Canada and in Denmark? Why are we not moving to why are we not going south?
I think about that a lot.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe in a couple of years' time we'll have the Boot Nerds podcast, but in Spanish. Let's see what happens. But hey, today 148. We're gonna continue where we left off on the last episode 147, where we will basically take a look at what's dropped since we last spoke. Basically, there's been a lot of stuff coming out. We have made some stuff at Unisport, which is pretty cool. And then we also we can answer some questions, which is always fun. So again, if you have any questions and you're back, thank you for that, by the way. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section right down below. We'll try and get back to you in the next couple of episodes. And hopefully we can do it a bit more regularly, again, when the World Cup is around. Mm-hmm. So Josh, there's been a lot of good stuff, some shiny stuff, some cool Unisport stuff, some blackout stuff. Where do you wanna start?
Let's go over the Unisport stuff first because I feel like
the vibe is telling you to.
Yeah, but I really like what you guys have done here. Again, I think I was talking to a few people regarding colorways, and I think I have to credit Unisport for being the most creative in the colorway world over the last year.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think you guys have been responsible for some of the... In a world of everybody wanting to call people out for copying things that have been done before, I feel like you guys are very original in everything that you've come out with this year.
Well, that's more or less the highest praise we can get. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun one. Let me just sort out the laces on this one. That's one of the things I'm really bad at. When I go and play, I take the boots off and I just leave the laces really unorganized, and it doesn't look very good, which is bad when you create boot content. But anyways, this was a fun one, you know, because as you say, we've kind of, I don't know if you can say it's our thing, but we've kind of made it a trend to always try and do something original, something that hasn't been done before, and have all these like weird, almost like camouflage patterns, at least crazy patterns on minimalistic basis on the boot. And I think with this one, this is the brainchild of one of our graphics guys. His name is Oscar. He's a brilliant guy, very creative mind. And he just came and said, like, what about flags? You know, it's the World Cup. Football is the world's game. Mm-hmm. What about if we take flags and we use the liquify functionality in Photoshop and we just make a cool camo pattern out of it? And we were just like, yeah. You know, football is the world's game. It's for everyone. What if we make, you know, a boot about inclusion by including every flag in the world? So that's whether you play on the normal pitches or on the beaches, on the streets, in the cages, in the biggest stadiums in the world. You know, wherever you may be playing, football is for you and me and everyone. So whether you play in Denmark or in Canada or in Nepal, football is a game for you. And I think apart from looking like just a cool camel beast, there's also a deeper story to this, which we always try and do on top of the crazy stuff that we just really loved, you know. So yeah, it's so fun to do, like, and to bring these ideas to the guys over at PUMA is, and you know, to see them interact with that and run with it, and of course give their feedback. Sometimes it doesn't work. What we come with, and then we of course go back to the drawing board, do something else. But yeah, it's been a fun process.
Yeah, I think what I like about this one in particular is it has the duality of being very self-explanatory. I think even without the story and knowing that it's flags, I think it's very obvious that it's flags, which I think is cool. But then it also looks like something that you'd see like on the wall in a fine art museum and for some painting that somebody's selling for millions of dollars. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just has that, it has that abstract look to it while being like, it's obviously a flashy pair of football boots. I would say more so the Ultras than the Futures, but it's flashy done in such a way that's both unique and, like, again, I don't want to use an art term, but I want to say that it's tastefully done.
Well, thank you. Well, that was also what we were going, especially with the Futures, where it was really our focus to make sure that it also looked, it's not minimal, it's not classy, you know, because there's a lot going on, but we still wanted those clean lines. We wanted, you know, if we have a white pair of socks going into these, it just looks really, really cool and clean all the way down to when the pattern starts. And that transition is something we really like to play with that a lot. So yeah, but glad you like them.
Yeah, like I thought back to, I think it was during the 2018 World Cup, and Nike released a whole bunch of sneakers with like a bunch of flags plastered all over them. I think there was an Air Max 90, there was like an Air Zoom Spiridon or something like that. And they're just like, they're white shoes covered in flags. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But it's like, it just, I don't know, something about it just, I like it as an object. It's not something I would want to wear. This, I think, takes that like world flags concept and makes it very, like I said, tasteful. Something I would want to wear.
Damn, I actually haven't seen these. That's a great idea they had. And they were a couple of years ahead of us. So, damn it, Nike. Well, what a great idea. Someone should make football boots out of this.
Right after saying you guys didn't copy anybody.
Oh, I know, but yeah, great shout actually. But it just looks cool. It's a fun way of using, and obviously one of the challenges here was that the flags of the world all have different shades of blue and green and yellow and red and all that stuff, and that would be impossible. I think there were like, I don't know how many thousand different colors were in the original file that we presented to PUMA, and they were just like, "Are you kidding us?"
That's actually, you know what? Good point. And I kind of have that question. Did you guys present something that had too many shades? And is there a number of shades that were allowed and not allowed? Like, was there a cutoff point? Yes,
obviously. Really? We had to cut down but just for the sake of production. So you know, I don't think you can tell when you look at the flags, but they have been altered slightly just to make sense from a production point of view. So yeah, we had to narrow it down to, I don't remember how many, that was with the graphics boys, but we had to narrow it down to a certain number of shades of each color.
That's really interesting.
And I mean, it makes sense, right? Otherwise you have like thousands of different shades of different colors.
So yeah. How many flags total were incorporated onto this boot? Is this all the teams in the World Cup, or? No,
this is just all the flags basically in the world. So we went in and we, I think there's a database where you go, maybe even you can find all the flags of the world in like images on Google. But we went in, the boys went in with a list of all the countries in the world, all the flags in the world, and slapped that in a big Photoshop file and mashed it up.
Melted it
with the liquify tool. Yeah,
cool.
And it's fun, right? Because it's a relatively simple process, but that's how it happened. And it goes to show that it's more about the idea necessarily than always the execution. And you know, our idea also looked different to what was there. Obviously, we send it down to the guys at PUMA. We have a lot of brainstorming sessions. They fine tune stuff. The same thing happened with the barbershop boots, where the initial idea in my head and on the first sketch was a white base with red and blue, like very solid stripes. But they were like, maybe doesn't it look better with a black base and then like these glowy gradients around the white stripes instead? And we were like, yeah, you know what? It works. So obviously, I mean, this is not just us. They're brilliant down there at Puma. That has to be said.
That's cool. No, that's so cool to hear that.
It's a lot of fun. I can recommend. If you ever get the chance, like, do it. Speaking of which, creating your own boots. By you.
NIKEID.
Yeah.
We're waiting on ours.
Yes. I have mine.
Yours have arrived. Mine have been preparing to ship for a week and a half, Nike. I don't know what's going on, but
I sense where this is going.
Yeah, hopefully for next week's episode, we'll both have our Nike IDs. Yeah. And we will unveil them to each other and we'll get to see how much better mine are than Jay's.
Yes.
So it'll be good.
Which is probably why I'm secretly hoping that yours will pull a JayMike and lose your boots forever. So now let's see. Mine are definitely, I think they're divisive. I love them. I absolutely love them. They're simple but effective, just like me.
Divisive.
Who said? But yeah,
that's interesting. You went with controversial. I
wouldn't say they're controversial, but either people are going to think they're... No, I'm not going to say more. Too much. I've said too much already.
Mine follow a concept that might not work at all. So
it's the Joma Champion Max replica.
No, that was very successful. That went over well, I think.
Anyways, Josh, so that's come. By the way, also for you guys who sent in your designs, thank you very much. We have a lot of them. We're going to go over them, but we thought it would make more sense if you've actually seen ours when we do yours and rate them. So
keep sending them in if you're getting your pairs before me, because Nike seems to be sending them to everybody except me first.
Likely, yeah. And also, just if you have designs, cool. Also send those in. But if you have like final pairs, even better. Better. Love to see those. But anyways, Josh, then what? Okay, let's start with these. These are blackouts. These are blackouts Mizuno Alphas. And obviously they have dropped in the launch colorway the white one, which looks pretty dope. But this is basically Mizuno's new speed boot. And you might be thinking, hold a second, Jay. What about the Morelli Neos, which are also speed boots? Well, this is a dedicated synthetic speed boot that takes over from the Rebula. And we just had a quick chat about them before we went live. And you asked me what was the material like. And it feels a lot like you so precisely pointed out, a lot like what you saw on the Morelli 2 betas, the Morelli Neo 2 betas, of course. The chrome ones. That material there may be a little bit thicker, so it has a little bit more structure to it, and obviously then you have the skeleton, the little bit of foam in there that you can see looks a little bit like the Rebula 3s, and there's a carbon fiber like insert in the forefoot. You have the Mizuno Energy foam in the heel. Can't tell, to be honest.
Oh, they do have that. That's interesting.
It's really. Did you also get those shoes, the big bubbly ones?
Yeah, the bubble with the black with the red sole.
Kind of crazy, yeah.
Yeah, those are a little ridiculous. I've not worn them.
I have once, and people gave me strange looks, so I didn't wear them again. But also, they have this almost like, the best way to describe it is probably shark skin. It feels a little bit like oily to the touch. This knitted texture in the heel and on the sock liner that really keeps your sock in place. I think, this is really good. What we see on the speed portals is really good. That treatment in the heel on the Tequelas as well. Very nice. But overall, I think they're 189 grams or something like that. Feels really good. It's such a lovely fitting pair of boots. Super light and just, it fits so well. I mean, if I didn't know that it was a pair of synthetic boots, I might have as well have thought that it could have been leather. It's so soft. It's so pliable. It's really good.
Interesting.
I like it.
This is like we've seen Mizuno do synthetic boots in the past.
Yeah.
I think the last time they did a full synthetic was Basara.
Yeah, was.
Basara 101, I think. Yeah. No, there was a 102 as well. Wasn't there? There's 2 generations of Basara, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not the most.
I could be wrong on that. Because there was a yellow pair was the first one, and then there was a blue pair, but I can't remember if that was a new color or a new model.
Basara was definitely after that. The last one I really distinctly remember is the Wave Ghost, the one with the lace cover, the black and blue ones.
And that was before Basara, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was. Basara 102. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 102, right? And I don't think full synthetic Basara was that great of a football boot. I think they did some really cool things with the sole plate and stud pattern, but definitely the leather versions of the Basaras were the ones to have if you got an opportunity to try those boots. But I definitely don't think what they did in full synthetic was bad. It's not Mizuno's niche. And I think Mizuno at this point has become very much a niche brand in terms of only really ever trying to appeal to their core audience. And I think with Alpha here, they are trying to grow. I think they're trying to reach out to new people that don't necessarily want leather football boots. They want that kind of hardcore speed boot, high-tech type of concept that Mizuno as a brand is so capable of. Like you see it in all of their other sports outside of football that they're typically leaders in terms of new technologies being introduced into sports equipment. So this is something that's really exciting to me. And
I agree.
I'm very curious to try them. The upper really reminds me of, besides Neo 2 Beta, it reminds me a little bit of 2014 Evo Speed SL.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And more people have actually commented that on the Unisport videos, my Instagram post about it. And I definitely see where you're going with that. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's a fun one because it does have that, the responsive feel. The tooling is ridiculously snappy, right? It does feel lightweight, but still you get that. You get the comfort and you get the level of, I would say, adjustability in the sense that it's relatively wide. You have a super deep lacing system. It fits my slim foot relatively well. I can also imagine it does really well with wider feet. I mean, there's a lot of room to work with here. Mm-hmm. And that's a very interesting sensation that it seems to me the speed boots with the Mercs, and of course also this one, are also now focusing on how can we feel fast and lightweight, but still be comfortable. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, comfort is king.
Mm-hmm. Has to be.
So a very interesting one here, and maybe not as minimal and hardcore as they could have made it. Let's say that they had done the Morelli Neos as a synthetic version. That would be probably even more nimble and faster than this one, right? But I think it's an interesting one. And I think it looks really cool too. Just a lot of translucency and Yeah,
I like what they've done. I can't help but also think that it doesn't appear as technical as I think some of their competitors, at least based on pictures. I really appreciate the traditional U-throat construction, standalone tongue, deep central lacing system. I think that always goes a long way in terms of just making a football boot that will fit more people better versus the one-piece upper trend that even Mizuno themselves have done with the Neo 3 Beta.
Sure.
I think for me, the challenging part of this product is they've created something that can draw new people to the Mizuno brand. However, the elephant in the room, it always is with Made in Japan Mizuno, it's the price. At 320 euros, it's so expensive. It's so expensive.
It's too much. And this is, I can appreciate why they're expensive. We've both been there in the factory in Hyogo, right? But I'm just thinking, you launch a new product, and there's a lot of technology in here, and I can appreciate that. But you launch a new product, and you really want it to compete. You really want to make a big splash in the speedboot market, which is the biggest red ocean out there, right? There's so much competition. Why don't you come in at a competitive price, just at least to compete with the Mercurials? I mean, they can be high 200s. Cool. That's fine. 280 would be a very solid price for these. And I know that's not their style. That's not how they do it. They just give it a little bit of extra something. But for me, it's like It's a great football boot. It fits you really well. It feels ever so responsive as I would expect it to, also compared to the competitors. And you know, I wouldn't think twice about wearing these alongside the Mercs or the Furons right now. I mean, they're this good. They feel a little bit more trending towards like a more general feel than a dedicated speed boot feel, which I think a lot of people will like. But if you're after that hardcore like ballerina type shoe, this might not be it for me. There are other better boots on the market for that. So you know, that's a little bit of a thing. Where does this land in also especially in people's perception? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I just think that for me at least, and maybe you or other people might have a different perspective, is that when I look at the price of Made in Japan Mizuno, I think part of what would allow me to justify the price is the quality of the product, particularly the quality of materials. And when you're dealing with kangaroo leather in general, there's definitely discrepancy between what Mizuno offers and what pretty much everyone else offers.
Yeah, true.
There's a gap.
Yeah.
Where when I look at this synthetic upper, as cool and as technical as it can be, I don't know. I feel like there's less justification here in terms of cost difference. Like I don't look at, I think if I go back to like 13-year-old Josh mentality, somebody that's really into speed boots, somebody that's really into new technology and new concepts, I feel like I'm going to look at a Mizuno Alpha and I'm going to look at something like a Nike Mercurial and just spec for spec. I'm so much more impressed by the amount of technology jammed into the Mercs versus what's been jammed into the Alpha.
Of course.
It's still a more simple take on a high-tech football boot, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But again, when you factor in that these are, what, $70 more than a pair of Vapors?
The Vapors, yeah.
Like I feel like it's going to be a tough sell for them, which is a little bit unfortunate.
And I agree. You know, it doesn't come in and smash any of the products out of the water. It's a great product, but like you say, it doesn't, for me at least, it doesn't have that one factor apart from the build quality, which is of course still excellent, but it doesn't have that one factor where you say, okay, the price is justified. You had the leather before, you had that fit that only Mizuno can. Of course, you also have that in these boots, but if you want a really well-fitting synthetic speed boot, you can buy the Vapors. They are amazing. Okay, so that's going to be the hard sell. Where's the USP with this one? And I know Mizuno will come out and point to a lot of things, and sure, but they're within that same spectrum that all the other boots out there are operating within. And I think that is going to be their problem with the Alphas.
Yeah, and I think for me too, if you look at it from the average consumer who's also gone and watched the Boot Nerds podcast and watches reviews on both of our channels and has done a little bit of research on what's good in 2022, and you compared them to kind of the top two speed boots out there, I think that we both agree on in the Mercs and the Furon V7 Pro. And I think if the Furon is at all on your radar and you're like looking to try something outside of the Mercurial, because that's just kind of an easy choice. Most people are going to be pretty happy with that. Why on earth are you going to spend $105 more on these Mizunos over a pair of the New Balance? Yeah. Because again, I haven't tried the Alphas yet. I can't really definitively say that I like them more or less than the other two boots that we're talking about here, but I have a hard time believing that they are 33 or 35% better in terms of cost justification over the Furons, which are just excellent boots for the money.
There and that's the thing. We're talking about value for money here, because I think if you gun to my head, what would I choose, these or the Furons? Well, I know it's just stupid. Then the Ultras came out and I said, okay, they were like the best dedicated speed boot out there. Then the Furons came and were better than the Ultras. I was just like, and then these came, and I would just, if money wasn't an issue, I'd probably go for these. I like them a lot, but also because it gives me that element of the Rebula 3s, which I absolutely
really
adore
like
those boots.
Yeah.
And that for me is like, it's just an overall really good pair of football boots with a speed element to it. And it has those elements from speed boots that I like a lot. But it's comfortable most of all. So I think I would go with these over the Furons if money wasn't an option. But it is to 99% of people out there, right? And that's where the Furon is such a strong proposition. And I just thought to myself before, while you were talking, that this is a great pair of football boots. But to justify the price, it needs to be special. It needs to be more than just really good.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Where's the special sauce with this one?
And you know, they will claim build quality, but is that special enough? No, because you can also go get a Mizuno Morelia Neo 3. And you get the build quality, but you also get that special sauce in the leather. And you pay less than on these. So I think maybe Mizuno have, I don't know if it's not, probably not arrogance or whatever it is, but they've probably aimed a little bit too high with the price on these compared to the ambition. Like, enter the market at like 270, 280 euros to still put a big fat line under the fact that it is a premium product. It is built by hand, all that jazz. Cool. But just make it a little bit more realistic for people to buy. You know, you got to entice people to buy your product if you don't have that, you know, completely crystal clear USP. And I don't think compared to the rest of the market that they do enough to justify the price.
Yeah. And I also think, like, realistically, they've probably produced a couple thousand pairs at the most of these boots, even though it's not a limited edition release.
Let's see. Yeah.
If that.
I don't know.
But the problem is I feel like I always get tricked into, like, thinking to myself that Mizuno is like this underdog brand, and they're not. They're a very, very, very big company.
Oh yes,
they're just not big in the football boot world in terms of popularity.
Exactly,
so, but I always seem to give them this like small startup brand pass that I'm not sure that they necessarily deserve. Because obviously there's huge costs associated with developing a football boot, and this is pretty much as new as we've seen for Mizuno in terms of new tooling, new upper. Everything about this boot, nothing's taken from other models that they have. And they really haven't changed a lot about other models in the last little while.
It's just gone too far with
too much.
The price, right?
Yeah.
It's too much. As good as it is, it's still probably the most expensive inline boot out there on the market, which is...
It is.
It's just too much money. And that's the thing, that the competition is too good now in that specific field for them to enter the market at such a high price.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Anyways, that was a lot of talk about the Alphas. I can't wait for you to hear, can't wait to hear your thoughts when you actually get your feet in them. See what you say. Maybe, you know, the heavens open up and you just like,
maybe
320, that's nothing. That's nothing. But let's see. Quick take, Josh. It's just a colorway update, but generation pack, Nike World Cup pack. Lots of different opinions out there on the internet. What do you think?
I dig the bronze. I really like it. The Mercs are probably my favorite of the pack. Having seen them in person yet. I think that that's going to be a very popular colorway. It's distinctive. Obviously we've seen this bronzy copper color on Mercurials way back in the day.
Match Mercs, love
Match Mercs, right? That's the immediate thought there. But I think for the newer generation that is nowhere near that old, this is going to be like an all new thing. And I think it has that potential of being very distinctive and memorable.
Yeah.
It's certainly going to stand out from all the other World Cup colorways from any other brand.
Absolutely.
Phantom GT, it's nice, but relatively forgettable.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll be honest. I just don't care for it. And the Tiempos are really good. They really remind me of those Pirlos that we got a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
Effectively, it's that colorway on a Legend 9. But I really like it. I think it's cool.
I agree. I don't have it with me yet, which is a shame because I really like them. I want to wear them. But yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. Phantoms, nice enough, but forgettable. They're not, you know, I didn't lose my mind when I saw them. I happily wear them. I think they look cool, very stylish, but the Mercs are insane.
Yeah, the Mercs are cool.
And I understand why they might be a bit too much for some people, but I really like it. That, you know, hint of navy on the tongue, a little bit of splash of pink there. I think it just looks amazing, and they are so flashy on foot, and still, they're a classy bunch. They're a classy bunch. I love them. I love it. For me, the Mercs makes the generation pack the best inline World Cup pack out of all the brands. Of course, we can both agree that the Flags of the World is the best World Cup pack out there. No cap. Now, but I think when we look
after this tournament has started and you look at all the players wearing the new World Cup boots, I think the Mercs are going to be the ones that stand out the most.
I agree. And finally, there's this one.
Yeah.
The gold absolutes.
Yeah. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
And that's the thing. When I first heard that these would come out, my brain melted out of pure excitement and hype that we were actually going to get these. Because obviously it's been the collector stream for, God knows how long. Mm-hmm. And they're lovely, The leather is soft. You could argue that the stripes are actually positioned a little bit too high compared to where they maybe ought to be, a little further down. But it feels like the shape is better in this than it was in the white ones that came out from the Eternal class, I think it was called.
Yeah.
A couple of years back. I really enjoy these. I've had a couple of sessions in them already. They're just slippers. And I don't hate them as much as I remember hating the absolutes. So
no, I think absolute. Just having tried the white ones that came out, I don't think it was a year. I think it was less than a year ago, Jay. I don't think it was a couple of years.
It's. I
want to say it was
almost 2 years.
It 2 years ago?
I think it's 2 years because last year it was before I moved. And I was already living here last year. So
oh my God! It's been that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, time flies.
I do think absolute translates the best in terms of wearability to a modern football boot. Just because I think there's really not much about an absolute that's dated other than the fold over tongue.
Right.
But that's kind of a classic Predator thing. I think that's really cool. But what's awesome about this colorway, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I was trying to think back to the first time a player partnered with any brand got a colorway that was exclusive to them and never released to the public. I want to say that might have been the first one ever. Because Ronaldo's had them. Obviously, like Benzema just got some speed portals that were actually speed flows for winning the Ballon d'Or, which I thought was pretty funny. But I can't think of another situation where any other player before that got a special pair of boots to wear in a match that never released to the public.
You're probably right. I mean, then it would be Ronaldinho with the gold legends that actually had real gold on them, but it doesn't really count. We're talking colorway here, right? I'll have to do some digging, but it sounds plausible what you're saying. Let me put it that way.
I remember
it must have been
that game.
Beckham then.
I was thinking if Beckham had something, but I can't remember that he did. He did,
and I think
he had
that was
LZ2s.
later on with the LZ2, yeah. But I don't recall any of the early ones. Let's check up on it. And if anyone out there knows, well, let us know in the comment section.
I'm sure somebody knows.
Yeah. My only complaint with this is that, the gold absolutes, Zidane's gold absolutes has always been, they've always been this mythical, because they've been impossible to get your hands on. And the collectors that had them were like, they were sitting on actual gold. Pun intended, but this is just is that the right word? Diluted, watered out the value of those boots because now more people will be able to get their hands on them. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely think that
it ruins a bit of the mythical aspect about the boots. And as much as I love them and I love that they actually did it, it also feels like Adidas really had to dig down and bring out the big guns. This is it's not a Hail Mary pass because we all knew that they would fly, but it's one of the strongest cards that they could actually play, and they've played it.
And honestly, I think they played 2 of those cards this year with the black, red, and white manias as well.
True. And
I feel like both releases they've just had weird timing, I've thought.
Yeah.
Like they didn't, there wasn't enough focus around it, I don't think, for how big a deal it is. But maybe it's just so long ago now that the new wave of consumers don't care as much. I don't know.
Maybe. I think the timing around the absolutes is pretty good. It's the World Cup, Zidane, cool. But was this the right time to bring out, pull out one of your best cards? And should it ever have been pulled? I'm not so sure. But hey, let us know what you think in the comment section right down below, which is also where we got some of the questions and comments from a lot of you guys. So we have one here from Jonathan Rodriguez. What boot in the last 5 years can you see as a remake? Also, which past inline model could easily pass as a current inline model today? No age limit. Any past inline model.
Any past inline model that could pass as a current model. I think you could take... I think Magista Obra 2 has aged really well. I think that's one that could come back.
Obra 2, the one with the dimples on?
Yep, I think that one has aged better than Obra 1. I think you could take CTR 360 Maestri 3 and throw it in the lineup right now, and it holds up really well, even from a weight perspective. 2014 F50, throw it in the mix.
That is
no problem.
Certified winner, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
problem.
For me, the Vapor 13 is like, people wouldn't even bat an eyelid if you pulled that back. And I'm also just thinking like some of the Tiempos. Tiempo Legend 5? Bring that out now. Maybe with the tooling, yeah, okay. But bring that back would definitely work. F50 is the obvious shout. That is the obvious shout.
Yeah, I think I went further back than 5 years, but I would also say hesitantly almost any one of the Evo Powers. I thought those were all excellent football boots that did not get the credit they deserved.
Maybe the first one is not 2022 standards, at least not in terms of looks, but and the silhouette. But yeah, the Vigors could definitely come back. Definitely come. Which one could I see done as a remake? That's a good question.
That's a great question. In the last 5 years,
it all feels so recent that it's not. The time is not yet to make a remake, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's not long enough, you know. I feel like it's going to be... I feel like it'll be one of the messy models.
Maybe, yeah.
Will come back at some point.
They haven't been that great in the last 5 years, I mean.
No, but just based on name. Yeah.
You know what?
5 years.
I don't care. I want a remake of the Hypervenom GX. It was a limited edition, but I want another one.
You might be the only person in the world that wants that. I want a T90 Laser 2, Nike. If you're going to make a Phantom GX, you can make a Laser 2.
Got a hold of this guy. Yeah. Cool. Question for the podcast. That's from Alex F. Timiu. By the way, I play and coach on artificial surfaces 3 to 4 times a week. That's dedication, my man. Props for that. Do you know when the Furon 7 or Tequila 4 will be available in AG? Because I can't risk the FG boots. I have issues with both knees and ankles. Failing that was my best option for new AG boots. And I checked up on it, and I'm not sure when they are dropping on the Unisport website yet. So that is a great question. I also thought, and Josh, can you please chip in? But I thought if you're both playing and coaching and you have problems with your knees and ankles, maybe AG isn't even the answer. Maybe you should try and go MG. And when I say MG, I'm thinking of the PUMA boots. You know, go Future or Ultra MG, because they have it's basically like a turf pattern, but with slightly thicker studs. There's a lot of them, like 40 something. Really, really good for both AG surfaces, but especially also because they don't dig down as much. They don't grip as much, and it's a wonderful plate for especially the older artificial surfaces, and if you have like problems with your knees and ankles. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I agree. I think the shorter studs, more studs, and more just better pressure distribution. Yeah, that's going to be a lot more comfortable. And if you're coaching a lot and you're kind of just doing more standing around, maybe a little bit of playing, I think Mundial teams. Yeah, I feel like like it's so comfortable. I agree. It'll up your coaching IQ by at least 20 points. Yeah. It's just the way to go, and inexpensive.
It is. So get that for coaching and get a pair of PUMA MG boots for playing, and you'll be golden. Honestly, that's what I would do. There's also one. Alaric Aguilar is mad that I change your name on screen all the time. It's getting a little stale. So if you're also out there, if you, Josh, are sick of your name changing all the time, people are sick of all my stupid names, then let me know. I'll just drop it. I don't really care. It's just
to me, that's the best part of the Boot Nerds podcast.
Yeah. Francesco Evangelista. Hey guys, speaking of the Hypervenom GX, which we love, obviously, wouldn't it be cool to make an episode about underrated limited edition football boots? Josh, 2 girls over drinks. What do you think? Should we do it?
Oh, we could do it. I just don't know how many are underrated.
Fair enough.
You know?
Well, clearly you don't think the GXs are underrated, so I mean, that would be an obvious entry on the list for me, but hey, I mean...
Yeah, we could do that. I would say I'm just so disappointed lately with how many limited edition boots have been better than the inline products.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that's what 2022 has almost turned into that. Like, if I could go back and pick some boots to wear, almost all of them are limited edition, which sucks.
Yeah, it's going to be fun with the top 5 boots of the year 2022 with how many limited editions will be in there.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one. But let's go back. Let's talk about it. Let's see if we can actually make a list and see where it takes us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then there's been a lot of comments after we had that slightly deeper talk about, being a content creator for so many years, and also why we haven't been, churning out podcasts every week like we used to. It's just a lot of stuff to do, right? We both have lives on, we have our jobs, and then we have our lives, and we also have the podcast. So, but there's been nothing but positive comments, a lot of appreciation, understanding for our schedules, and we just really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Daniel Sakasevsky, C41N4, Feyenoord 1977, just a few of the comments I read, really positive, and just keeps us going. So thank you guys, really. So, that's the questions I had for this episode of the Boot Nerds podcast. If you have any out there on the other side of the screen, let us know in the comment section right down below, and we will try to get back to you. Hopefully by the next episode, Josh will finally have his Nike by You, NIKEID boots that we can rate and slate, hopefully. And then we'll also go back to your boots once we've done that episode.
Which I'm very excited about. I'm so excited to get mine and then be jealous of everyone else's.
But that's what always happens, right? We make ours and we think, oh, these are great. And then people just send in designs that are just way better than ours. Way more imaginative. So I'm really looking forward to that episode. Send them into the email in the description. Let us know. And up until that point, stay awesome. Good luck with the weather, Josh. Old man. And... I've been JayMike and I approve this message. Subscribe to us as well. That would be awesome. But I approve this message. I'm JayMike. See you later.
Thanks for watching, listening,
ciao,
whatever you're doing.
Whatever you're doing. Have a good one. Peace.